I think so.
We're on.
It started us.
Sorry, we are trying to use Megan's phone now because her Wi-Fi wasn't working.
Yeah, my Wi-Fi decided to be an ass.
Yeah, so hopefully this is better. So we can see the chat. Like, should it pop up?
I think it'll pop up.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure it'll pop up.
We'll see. I feel like the video quality
Yep,
is much better.
Thanks, Mindy.
Hi, Mindy. Now we're going to have to lean real close and squint to read the comments.
So if you see me do this.
So if we're like this all the time.
Sorry. Yeah, so we're doing this on my phone. I'm actually going to go run and grab my charger just so I can keep my phone plugged in while we do this.
Yes. And if John's here, he asked when we were drinking, if John's back, I'm drinking a Sierra Nevada Pale Ale, and Megan is drinking a Lil Squeezy Juicy Ale from Deschutes. Oh, and this is gluten-free, it says.
It is gluten-free.
Crafted to remove gluten, so if you can't have gluten,
if you are gluten-free,
there's a beer for you. Hello, Hannah. Welcome back.
Asshole.
Yeah.
I may or may not just hooked up this
Uh-oh.
cord. Let's
Megan's
find out if it starts a fire.
Trying to plug the phone charger in so that her phone doesn't die. Hi, Becky.
The worst. Okay. I'm just gonna be really dramatic about this whole thing. Alright, let's put this up here. Sorry if I jostle y'all.
Okay. We're plugged in, so we shouldn't die.
We need to be higher though, because
yeah.
your head's cut off, you tall bitch.
Oh, I did the opposite.
There we go.
There. Okay, sorry.
Got it. We are having myriad technical difficulties today.
Yes. But I think we got it going.
I'm gonna drink some beer.
All right, so what y'all been reading?
How y'all doing? What y'all been reading?
Yep.
Sorry we're a mess.
You know, you should be used to it by now.
Yeah, that's kind of our thing.
Honestly.
Yeah. It's been a fucking week, y'all. I feel like this week has been like an entire Groundhog's Day worth of, Groundhog's Day week.
Mm-hmm.
It's been rough. So.
My week was not too bad, but it did seem long. 3 Dark Crowns. I think I've heard of that.
I don't know
anything about it. Leanna just finished Ring Shout. Oh, I've been seeing that one everywhere.
What did you think? You loved it. That's right. Sorry. I'm trying, y'all. I'm getting there.
Yeah, I've wanted to check that one out. I don't really know anything about it, but I've just been seeing people reading it everywhere. But have you all finished any of the
prompts?
If You Gotta Read It challenges? Megan, did you finish any this month?
I did. I finished 2. One of them, I don't know how I'm going to do this. Oh, Mindy says that she's reading The Way of Kings by Brandon Sanderson. And Tender is the Flesh.
See, the comments
audiobook.
Disappear.
Can we make them show back up?
I don't know.
Mother
I guess not.
Trucker. No.
No. Apologies if we miss any of your comments then, because
Yeah.
they
we don't know
apparently
how to
just
make them
appear on
stay
the
up.
phone. Maybe, I wonder if I go to the chat and mute it, if I can view the comments there.
Oh, here's John. John, we are drinking.
John. Hello, John.
I'm drinking this little squeezy juicy ale from Deschutes, which is gluten-free.
And I'm drinking a pale ale from Sierra Nevada Brewing, which is just kind of a go-to
Yeah, this little squeezy's pretty tasty.
I think if I just like keep, I think I have to keep it playing, but I can keep it on mute.
Yeah, you can mute it
and then I can see the comments here, but there might be a slight lag.
Look at us problem solving. I feel like this keeps like shrinking down.
I think it is. I think you can tighten it maybe. Sorry, we probably should have figured all this out before we went live, but we were trying to get back on as quickly as possible.
Yeah. Okay, I think I did tighten it.
Yeah.
Okay. You guys are watching problem solving in live action.
Yes. So what did you read for Ijiri?
I read, for challenge number 10, to read a book from my most owned genre, I read Lagoon by Nnedi Okorafor, which is sci-fi, because that is what I own the most of. It's about first contact with aliens, and they... Aliens?
Hello, Gary.
What's up, Gary?
Read his first Queen Octavia.
Oh. I'm so excited for you right now.
And just finished Peril of the Talents.
Yay!
Yes.
What did you think, Gary? But yeah, I really liked Lagoon. Lagoon was really good. It takes place in Lagos, Nigeria. And I don't know much about Lagos. I've never been.
Right.
And I don't know a whole lot about the culture there. And I feel like Lagos was kind of a character in and of itself in the book. And so that was really kind of cool because I got to, I feel like, get like a glimpse into that culture. Plus, I like aliens in books and I like first contact books. So, and Nnedi Okorafor is a brilliant writer. I would read anything she wrote, honestly.
John just finished Assassin's Apprentice.
Oh, how was that?
Who wrote that? Is that Robin Hood? Or am I thinking of something else?
Do you think it would be nerve-wracking to be an Assassin's Apprentice? Like, how do you, I mean, you're hanging out with a killer. Like, how do you know that they're not going to just off you before you
You're also training to be a killer.
But what if they're threatened by how good you are and they're like, fuck you, poof, and kill you?
Robin Hood, yeah. That's what I was thinking. I think I talked about this in my last one, but I have always wanted to read Robin Hood. I just haven't got around to it yet. Ring Shout is historical fiction and has some gory elements.
Oh, interesting.
Love some gory elements.
Very interesting. So what historical fiction, what point in history does that novel take place in? I like some historical fiction.
Based on the cover, I assumed it had something to do with the Klan.
Oh, I've not seen the cover.
I'm not sure.
I am ignorant of this book, so I am intrigued.
What was I going to say? Oh, you were talking about your book.
Oh, yeah, I pretty much wrapped up Lagoon, but yeah, it was pretty fucking fantastic. Like, if you haven't read Nnedi Okorafor yet, I totes recommend. Like, very good.
Yeah. And Gary loved the duology. I'm so happy.
It's so good.
Yes. Mindy completed Faithless by Karen Slaughter for a book that has been on my TBR in the past.
Nice. What did you think of that?
Also Starship Troopers. I haven't read any Robert Heinlein yet, but
Me
I've
neither.
heard very mixed things.
Really?
A lot of people. Well, from what I've heard, because I have the book Stranger in a Strange Land, and I have like the uncut version of it or whatever, which I think is what they mostly publish now. But the original published version, I think, someone correct me if I'm wrong, was much shorter and had a lot of stuff cut out of it. And from what I've heard, people are like, the edited version is better.
Didn't somebody in our last book club meeting say that that was the weirdest book they've ever read? Stranger in a Strange Land?
I think it was Amber. She hated it. I know that she, and a lot of people say that like the uncut version is like
trash,
just bad, like super misogynistic and stuff like that. But
I thought I remembered somebody in our last book club meeting. We do a virtual book club, and we were just for some reason talking about the weirdest books we've ever read, and that came up.
Yeah. And Human Acts by Hong Kong. I'm not sure how to pronounce their name. Did you read something by them? You read a book by somebody and you hated it, but I can't remember if it was them or someone else.
Oh, I read Waiting by
that was someone else, wasn't it?
That was somebody else, but I did hate that book, yes.
I still not doing great for Jiri.
Oh no.
I did finish King Leopold's Ghost, which I hadn't intended to count for any challenges, but I could definitely count it for either read a
Nonfiction?
nonfiction, read a book I meant to read last year.
Was it over 500 pages?
No.
Oh.
Or read a book that was on a TBR in the past, so I can and might count it for any of those, but it was really good. It was about King Leopold II of Belgium. He claimed a colony in the Congo in the late 1800s through early 1900s and just like enslaved the people there and committed genocide and plundered the land and the resources, and it was
The favorite pastime of white Europeans.
yes,
Good
and he
old-fashioned
just
genocide.
yeah, and he just made enormous profits off the land, and he never set foot there, so he didn't do
didn't
anything
have to,
personally.
right.
But you know, all his little minions did everything for him. But yeah, it was really good, really like interesting, something people should know about, but also just
Sounds kind of
infuriating and yeah, tough to read. The Vegetarian. Did you not read that?
I did not read The Vegetarian.
Okay.
Which book would we recommend to read next from Queen Octavia?
And hi, Mary.
And hi, Mary. That's a good question, and it depends on how weird you like to get. So
Yeah.
I guess our question to you is, how weird do you like to get?
Yeah, my favorite is Lilith Brood. It's a trilogy, but it's like it's alien stuff.
There is
so it gets
tentacle
weird.
sex of questionable consentedness.
Yes. So that one.
That one's
It's
so
pretty
good.
weird.
But yeah, it's brilliant. Like, it's super good.
A more tame one would be Kindred.
Kindred is like historical fiction, kind of. I think Octavia
Yeah.
Butler said she didn't consider it historical fiction. She considered it like a bleak warning or something. I just listened to, I think it's an episode of the Throughline podcast that NPR puts out. They did an episode of that podcast. It's like an hour long about Octavia Butler. And they played like some snippets of interviews with her, and they talked about how I'm gonna go off on a tangent about Octavia Butler, so I'm sorry. But they talked about how she was all of these labels were ascribed to her, like, oh, she's a black feminist sci-fi writer, or she writes black sci-fi, or like all of these labels were ascribed to her, and she's like, I just want to be a writer,
Right.
Like, just let me be a writer.
Yeah.
And it's really sad to me that like she's getting all this like notoriety and attention now, and she passed away in 2006. She can't even enjoy it, and like it's so well deserved.
I mean, she was pretty well decorated when she
was
alive too. She won
what Nebula and Hugo Awards.
And,
But still, I mean, she's on the New York Times bestseller list for the first time ever. I think last year or the year before. And then I mean, they're doing podcasts about her, like. There's the Octavia Butler Legacy Network, I think, that does like studies her work and stuff.
I forgot what I was doing.
So yeah, sorry. Tangent about Octavia. I'm over it and done.
I don't know why I look so pink.
I look yellow,
It might
but
just be in comparison.
because I look.
That's probably also because I'm drinking a beer. And
Oh, you might be a little. You don't
booze
look.
makes my face burn and turn red, so I probably shouldn't drink it. But here I am.
You don't look as pink in real life as you do on film.
Yeah, that happens when I'm in like Zoom meetings and stuff too. Like I look really red in the face in the video, and then when I look at myself in the mirror, I'm like, I look fine.
I look
And
yellow.
I'm like, why do I look so red?
Yeah, I look yellow in Zoom meetings a lot because I have a lot of olive in my skin and a lot of pink in my skin, and depending on the lighting.
I'm pink toned. I have pink toned skin, which is why this tattoo on my wrist looks like a rash. I don't think I can show it. Or on my forearm, I said my wrist. But let's see. Gary said he also read The Bourne Identity for a book by an author I've never read, and Legend by David Gemmell for most recent purchase. I've only heard of The Bourne Identity because of the movie. I'm assuming it's the same thing.
Same, yeah.
And I don't think I know what Legend is. So, what are your thoughts on those books?
Yeah, what did you think?
In the Bones season for most owned genre, Quiet. Wow, Gary's really fucking killing it.
Damn, Gary, you're getting after it.
Quiet for nonfiction. Oh, think I have Quiet. Is that the one about introverts? Or I think I had it, and then I decided I was gonna, like, unhaul it and just listen to the audio version, but I still haven't done it.
I think I had it, and I started reading it, and I got bored with it. So I don't know. What did you think of it?
And Shirley, for a book I was supposed to read last year, John wants to know what percent is our beer.
This beer is 5%.
And this one is 5.6%.
Oh.
Ooh,
Oh.
getting a little spicy over here.
A little spicy. These are the only beers we've had thus far this evening. Mary is reading The Sword of, is it Kagan? Okay, you keep procrastinating. I get that.
Yeah.
Been there. Is there a reason you keep procrastinating it? Is it like hard to get through, or you're just doing other stuff?
Yeah. I've been in like a little bit of a slump.
Yeah.
I did finish a book today, this morning. It was a very short book that I was buddy reading with Amber from Amber Unabridged and Sam from Sarcasm and Sci-Fi. And I enjoyed it. I don't think I understood it. That's how I always feel. It was a book by a Japanese author, and I always, anytime I've read Japanese literature, I enjoy the process, but at the end I'm like, I have no fucking idea what that was about.
I don't know that I've read a lot of Japanese literature, honestly. I've read some Chinese literature, but I haven't read any Japanese literature.
I've only read a little bit, but...
Mary says she thinks that we might have recommended it.
I have never heard of that book, so I don't think it was us.
I don't think it was us, but I'm very intrigued by it. So if you like it, please let us know.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
But did you read?
Oh, I also read, so for number 14, I never really know how to do this, to read your most recently acquired book, because that's going to vary at different points of the year.
I guess you could do it at any time you wanted.
So and I kind of did that. So at the time that I chose this book, my most recently acquired book was The 100,000 Kingdoms by N.K. Jemisin. And so I read that, and now I'm reading the third book in that trilogy because I liked it. So that means I have to read the whole thing right now, because that's the kind of person I am. But yeah, it was really great. Like, I don't know what kind of fantasy it is. Like, I don't know what you'd classify it as that N.K. Jemisin writes, but like, I fucking love her. It's so good, and I love the characters that she creates. I feel like they are tough. You know, she has tough female characters. She has characters that are very like shades of gray, and characters are very unlikable. And just the complexity of the tale she weaves. Like, there's so many details. There's such a like vast world that she creates, and she does it so well. So whatever kind of fantasy that is, I'm into it.
I mean, I feel like it wouldn't even matter if she was writing fantasy.
No.
She's just a great writer.
She's a fantastic writer. Like, she's another one I would read
anything
she wrote. Like, there's a handful of authors that like it really doesn't matter what they write, I will read it.
Yeah. It's like, even if it's not their best, it's still probably
It's still so good. Like, Octavia Butler, even her like Disavowed novel is fucking good.
Yeah.
Like, she didn't like it, but it was fucking good. So
yeah, I'm not doing great with reading, because I was wanting to read my physically owned books for this challenge, because that was kind of the point for me.
Right, to read the books on your shelves.
Was to read the books I own, you know, physically, so that I could whittle down my owned TBR. But I'm doing a very bad job of it.
Wah, wah.
I have read 2 of my owned books this entire year.
See, I feel like what you should do, and this is, I mean, take this advice or leave it. If you don't like it, just throw it right back. Just look at your shelf, and if something catches your eye and you're like, yeah, I really want to fucking read that, just read it. And don't worry about your TBR for a second. Like, just take a break from worrying about it. You can come back to it and attack it later. But just, like, find something that, like, really tickles your fancy and read that.
Yeah, this past couple weeks, though, I was just, like, nothing was tickling my fancy at all. I was like, I don't want to read anything.
I tickle your fancy.
Yeah, girl. But I've been doing a lot of crosswords on my phone. Constantly. I have a crossword puzzle app. Mary says, damn, it was from your last live one. Oh, maybe somebody else mentioned it.
Oh, yeah, maybe somebody else mentioned it.
Yeah, because I haven't read it, so.
So yeah, I'm sure somebody else probably did in that live show.
John's doing the dishes. What, John? You're in Australia, right? What time is it there?
It's gotta be late.
Yeah. Is it late or is it really early in the morning?
Yeah. Regardless, you're being awfully productive.
Yeah.
For whatever time of day it is.
Also, what's it like living in Australia with all those poisonous snakes and spiders and shit?
I feel like everything there wants to kill you. Yeah, like everything wants you to die. No, even the kangaroos. I was gonna say except for the kangaroos because
so
they're
we
cute.
probably shouldn't ask him questions.
Probably not. Sorry.
He's busy.
You got wet soapy hands. You got wet soapy hands. It's all right.
Yeah, but I've read a decent amount this year so far, but it's all been mostly ebooks and audiobooks. So I just haven't been reading my physical books. Yeah, I'll do another one. Thank you. So I don't know, I might end up counting ebooks as well, the ones that I own on my Kindle anyway. I'm not gonna count library books, although you guys can count library books if you want to, but John said we have 7 out of the top 10 snakes. I know.
That's awful.
How do you live there and not be in fear?
John, are you armed all the time? Like, do you just carry snake repellent with you all the time? What do you do? Are you friends with the snakes? Do you have friends with the snakes? Because if you do, I'm very impressed with you.
Yeah, because here we have
copperheads.
We have copperheads, which are poisonous, but they're not usually fatal as long as you get to
unless
the doctor.
They're babies. Babies will kill you really fast because they can't modulate their venom output. So they'll bite you and they'll shoot all of their venom into you. So the babies are very, very deadly, but the adults, I almost said the parents, the adults,
the mommies and daddies,
the mamas and the papas are typically not fatal.
Yeah. And then other than that, we have water moccasins, which I also don't think are that poisonous.
They'll make you sick, but they're usually not fatal.
And I think you can find the rare rattlesnake around here. But,
every once in a while.
It's not that common. My mom said she used to see him when she was a kid, which she lived in more southern Missouri than we are here. But
yeah, I think most baby snakes are pretty deadly because no baby snake can modulate their venom, so they just pump you full of it and you're fucked.
What hair color am I gonna do next? I don't know. I usually just kind of go on a whim. I'm not really liking the way this turned out because I did 4 different colors in it and they've all kind of melded together. The only one you can really distinguish anymore is this very faded pink. And I've only washed my hair twice since I dyed it. So it really just didn't.
I kind of am liking this peachy orange color that ended up right here. It's like a pinky peachy orange.
I think that's mostly just faded pink. It just faded out and probably mixed with the yellow a bit.
That's a nice color though.
But yeah, I definitely want to get rid of this soon because it didn't really turn out the way I wanted it, and then it faded and melded together very quickly. But I don't know, to be honest, I keep saying that I want to just grow my hair out and not dye it anymore because it is kind of high maintenance and annoying to keep up with, but I also get bored really quickly with it and I'm like, no, I'm gonna do it this,
Yeah, I don't miss the upkeep of having my hair fun colors, but I do occasionally miss having my hair fun colors. Mm-hmm. But when that urge hits, I just go and get a tattoo or a piercing and then it goes away. So, there's that. If you're not spending money on your hair, then you can spend it on other things.
The other thing that makes me want to grow my hair out is that my hair is pretty damaged all the time because I'm constantly bleaching it, which in some ways I don't mind because my natural hair is very fine and thin, and so when my hair's damaged, it has more body. It has more body and it's kind of looks thicker, but it would be kind of nice to have my natural hair texture again. To remember what that's like because it's been probably close to 15 years
Of dyeing it.
Of dyeing my hair.
It wasn't even close to that amount of time for me, and it was still kind of nice to rediscover my natural hair texture because it's kind of curly and wavy, and that was when it's...
Yeah, my natural hair is actually fairly curly, like much curlier. This is my hair natural right now. I haven't done anything with it, and it's like got a wave in it, but my natural hair is actually pretty curly. Like it can get quite curly.
You should go natural, and we can look like a couple of fucking normies together.
Yeah. I still got all
Get the metal in your
this
face.
going on. We just got our noses pierced.
We did. We went and got our noses pierced together.
Yeah, I already had this side done, but I got both sides done now.
I'm a big sissy about piercings, and I thought for sure that I was gonna be a big wuss, and it really wasn't that bad. I was very surprised.
Yeah.
Because I'm a big wuss.
Leanna said they've read 3 from their Ejiri list, but currently reading 2 more.
Damn.
Very nice.
All right. You're killing it.
John, some of these are at the end of my street. Some of the
snakes?
Some of the snakes?
Some of the
Is
sneaky
that what you're talking about?
John, I'm concerned for your safety.
Yeah, there's not much here in Missouri that's super dangerous. Although, did you see on the news that
Bobcats, mountain lions.
Well, they did put out a warning about coyotes or coyotes. I say it. Is that a country way to say it?
Coyotes.
That's how I always said it.
I've never said it that way, but I don't really think anything. Like, I don't think, ooh, that's country when I hear it.
Yeah. But they put a warning on the news about if you have small dogs, watch out because they've been spotted in Springfield.
Well, they're out by Jeff's all the time.
It's mating season, so they're more aggressive.
Well, my boyfriend lives a little bit outside of town. He still lives technically in Springfield, but he lives outside of town, and you can hear the coyotes every night.
Yeah.
He lives a little by train tracks, and when a train goes by, it sets them all off. And you
Really?
Yeah, it's loud.
Yeah. We hear them all the time out at my parents' house, and they're quite chilling to hear.
They're creepy, and like they can sound like kids laughing. Like certain calls that they make sounds like children laughing. It's really creepy. Foxes sound like that too. Foxes can sound like a kid or a baby crying. It's creepy. Eerie.
John's probably the Pied Piper of snakes. Are you
That's
calling all the snakes? It's like that episode of The Simpsons where they put the speakers. Anybody? I relate everything to The Simpsons, but there's an episode about Whacking Day, which is a holiday where they kill snakes.
Oh.
And then Lisa is like, no, we have to stop. And so
They put the
speakers on because the sound vibrations attract the snakes. So they bring the snakes to them to save them all.
Okay.
And Barry White's there.
Why wouldn't he be? You know.
Yeah. And one of my things that I'll always quote in my head of The Simpsons is Barry White saying, I love the sexy slither of a lady snake.
I feel like I've heard you say that on multiple occasions, and I don't know why, but I feel like that's the case.
I probably have said it.
Yeah. I like it. I dig it. I probably need to watch The Simpsons because I feel like I would appreciate it now that I'm an adult. I didn't like it when I was a kid because I didn't get it, I think. But I think now as an adult I would appreciate The Simpsons.
Well, I haven't watched the newer episodes, but I've heard they're bad. But
well, it's been on for like, what, 20 years? It's been on by
35, like almost. I think they just got renewed for like 34 and 35.
It's older than
34 and 35. Yeah, it started in the 80s.
Damn. The whole reason I remember how old I am is because I said one time, like, oh, I'm 32, and Sue goes, you're 33 now, bitch. And so now anytime I think about like how old I am, I hear Sue in my head go, you're 33 now, bitch. And that's how I remember how old I am.
Yeah. I think it was shortly after your birthday.
I think it was. And we might have been filming, I think, and I said something about it. You were like, no.
Well, I was excited that you were
your age,
my age. I'm a few months older than Megan. But yeah, somebody, was it Gary that said that? Somebody knew what I was talking about. The Barry White episode.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, I loved The Simpsons as a child. That was probably my favorite show.
Really?
As a kid, I would watch it. They did the syndicated episodes. I would watch those after school, so I'd watch it every single day pretty much.
Nice.
Except Saturday. And then the new episodes came out Sunday, I think. Did they when I was a kid? I don't remember. But yeah, loved The Simpsons, so like I quote it all the time, but only like the first 15 or so
15
seasons.
or so years of it.
Yeah, the first 15 or so seasons are the ones that I
feel like there's another thing
really
you say
well.
all the time from The Simpsons, and now it's
I
escaping
say,
me.
Mrs. Bouvier.
Yes.
And I'm sure there's plenty of others.
Yup. Anytime you quote something and I don't know what it is, I assume it's The Simpsons.
Yeah,
Like, it's
probably.
The Simpsons.
Unless I say, humadiddy.
Yeah.
That's from Wheel of Fortune.
Humadiddy.
Anyway, yeah, so I'm hoping this month that I can read some more of my, because I think I'm going to do like what you said and just kind of mood read a little more this month.
Just to get you out of the slump, and then you can go back to your duty bound.
Yeah, because that's the thing, is that it gets kind of hard because I'm in 2 book clubs.
Mm-hmm.
Plus, I guess that's the only thing I'm really obligated to read each month. But sometimes it's hard if it's like not a book you're super into. And
it can
takes
slow
forever.
you down.
Yeah.
But we just changed the rules for our book club, and so that should make it easier. So for the book club we're in, Sue had a really good idea to like read on a theme every month, and so everyone gets to read what they want to, and it's not everybody just reading the same book every month. So like for March, it's Women's History Month, so that's our theme. So you read a book by a female author or a book about women's history or women's issues, and like that's what we did, and we all get together and just talk about the books we read. So that should make it a little easier at least.
Yeah, I think so. And for my other book club, I think I'm just going to go with the philosophy of like, if I read the book, I read it. If I don't, I don't.
Because it's not like joy.
It's not like they're going to kick me out if I don't read the
also,
book.
that book club picks stupid books. Excuse me.
Not always.
Not always, but it's a lot of like self-help and nonfiction and memoirs, and a lot of people not really willing to read outside of their comfort zone.
Yeah, and I don't mind reading that stuff every once in a while, but I do get a little tired of it when it's like nearly every month.
Yeah, well, I feel like there's quite a few people in that book club, and I'm not disparaging them as people, but I think that there's quite a few people in that book club that can't see the value in reading fiction. Like, they're unable to read fiction and then apply it to larger societal issues, and so they don't necessarily see the value in reading fiction. And I think that's just missing out because fiction can do a lot of things, and it can even just be a fun experience to take the journey. And fiction can say a lot of stuff about societal issues and very poignant things, but I feel like there's a lot of folks in that book club that don't want to read outside their comfort zone. So they just read the same like fluffy, self-help, typical, like stereotypical book club shit all the time. I used to be in that book club, that's why I know. But
yeah, I was saying one of our last book clubs, I was like, sorry, I feel like I'm like the one who's always shitting on the books we read.
Well, it's always the same shit.
Yeah, because I'm always like, yeah, I hated this book. Here's why.
What was the one of the last book clubs I went to, what did they fucking read? It was something about the sky, and it was all just about like horrors that happened to women. But it was I think about women in Afghanistan, maybe? Something like that. But it was just like all these horrible things that happened to women, but like I see the value in
I see the
reading
value. That book. The ones that annoy me more are like self-help. The one of the self-help books that I also hated was you're not as smart as you think you are, or like you're not that smart, or something like that. And then like we were talking about the logical fallacies that the book talked about, and like people in the group were like, well, I don't have any of those. I don't remember that discussion because that was many years ago, but I do remember reading the book. It's been a while ago. But yeah, there's some books that we read that were real stinkers in that book club. Yeah, and I always try when it's like my turn to pitch a book for it, I always try to pitch like weird shit. Weird stuff. I'm like, haha. But you're nice enough to also pitch things that are like kind of on trend. I wouldn't be that nice. I'd be like, here's some weird shit. Y'all are gonna read it. Aliens or nothing. Read it or don't, bitch. I read your dumbass self-help book 4 months in a row, so how about you read some alien shit now, all right?
I'm fucking tired.
Yeah, but I think with our book club, reading on a theme will be a lot better. And hopefully, because I feel like there was a lot of people who wanted to participate but didn't because they weren't getting the book read. So hopefully that'll help people participate more who can read kind of more what they want to read and choose their own stuff.
Plus, I think it'll be good for discussion because I think like reading on a theme, if somebody reads something that they're like passionate or enthusiastic about, I think they're inherently going to have more stuff to say about it, or they're going to be more excited to talk about it. And so I think it'll spur. Plus, if we can, talk about the larger theme and how all these books connect to it, I think it will turn into like a really nice discussion. So at least that's my thought.
Yeah. So last month was our last reading the same book, and unfortunately the book
was a real stinker.
Not one that we enjoyed, but yeah.
It's not really a real stinker. We just didn't enjoy it.
Yeah, but I don't know. Should we talk about the other stuff we've been reading? Anybody have any topics they want to throw at us?
Comment on here.
Oh, was there?
Yeah.
John said red belly and brown snakes, about 4 houses, then the creek, and foxes as well.
Foxes are really cool, and that was the one thing. So my favorite thing to do is ask my partner if we can get various different animals and then just see how exasperated he gets, and he always says no. And I asked him if we had enough land, could I start a fox rescue? And he said yes.
Really?
He loves foxes.
Oh, wow.
He loves them. So if we can get enough land,
just buy that.
I wish we could afford it. There's a house next door to my partner's house that's on 10 acres, and I need a friend to buy it. But it's like $200,000. It's a small house, but it's a lot of land, and there's some outbuildings. So I need someone cool to buy it because I really want to have a fox rescue. I'll let you pet the foxes if you buy it.
I would if I had $200,000, because I don't necessarily want to like farm or anything, but I'd love to live somewhere away from other people.
My dream living situation is where we are neighbors. Like that's my ideal living situation. Is where we're neighbors outside of town. I have some like random animals that I take care of, like maybe an alpaca and like some foxes.
Right.
Can't have goats. That was shut down. So was the alpaca, but I'm not letting go of it yet. Yeah. And then occasionally, every once in a while, I will just ask my partner, like, hey, I would like to revisit the list of animals that I've asked you about, just to see if the answer is still no.
Curly Books.
Hello, Curly Books.
What was I going to say? Oh, I always say if I could get another pet other than a cat or a dog, I would get rats.
Rats are kind of cool.
I like rats.
Rats are kind of cool.
Cute. They're fun. They're sweet. Unlike hamsters.
Hamsters are assholes. They're assholes. I like big animals. Like I enjoy. I mean, rats are cool. I think rats are really cool. But I like big animals. The one like small weird animal that I would get, and this is they're kind of gross, is a ferret. I love ferrets.
They're cute.
They're so cool, but
I've heard they're smelly.
They stink.
They're very cute.
My cousin used to have like 3 of them, and she didn't get them descented because I think that's cruel and harmful to the animal. But they smell bad. But they're really cool.
Yeah.
Weird little weasel-like animals. I love them.
I'm pretty sure I've played with a ferret before.
They're fun.
I don't remember where, but I'm pretty sure I have.
I played with my cousin Mary's ferrets, and like they were very cool. I liked them.
I played with rats at a pet store once, and they were really cool.
I've never played with rats, but I think they're neat. I've seen them.
I've also held snakes before.
I think that snakes are kind of neat, but I don't understand, and maybe if any of y'all have reptiles as pets, you can help me understand this. If I have a pet, I would like to snuggle it. And I don't feel like reptiles are inherently snuggly. So if any of you guys have reptilian pets, can you help me understand why you like them?
Yeah.
Because I don't understand.
I saw a video of a cat and I think maybe it was an iguana. And it was so cute. The cat like loved the iguana and was like
Aww.
rubbing his face all over it, and the iguana was just like,
yeah, okay.
Yeah, I was like, animal best friends. Unlikely. It's Animal Odd Couples. I think there's a whole show called Animal Odd Couples, but that shit gets me every
right
time.
In your feelers.
I will cry watching Animal Odd Couples.
It's pretty fucking
because
cute.
something about two animals that
Who are
shouldn't
not meant
be
to
friends,
love each other.
being friends, just gets me right in the feels.
I saw a video about a camel and a cow who became buddies because this like farm rescue, they rescued this camel, and the camel was kind of weird looking. Like I don't know what was wrong with it, but like there was something odd about it. And the other animals on the farm were like, "Fuck you, camel!
Aww.
I don't want to mess with you." And so they rescued a baby cow, and the baby cow and the camel became best friends. And they like ran around together and played together, like laid in the hay together, and it was so fucking cute. You would have cried.
So cute.
You would have cried.
I want to cry right now.
It's so
just hearing
cute.
about it.
It's adorable.
Yeah, I love that shit. And I wish so hard that my pets were best friends, but they are not.
Mm.
My dog would not have it. My cat would probably be fine with being best friends with my dog, but my dog is a little asshole.
Sasha, my bigger dog, she's like 61-ish pounds. She really wants a kitty best friend, but she doesn't know how to interact with cats, and so she just scares the bejesus out of them. But she likes kitties. Like
I wonder if her and Lily would get along, because
they might.
Lily was great friends with my sister's big-ass dog, who's a Bouvier, which is why every time I say it, I want to go, Mrs. Bouvier!
My boyfriend's cat gets along with Sasha really well. Because he's fearless. Like, he gives no fucks at all. And he just, like, walks up and sniffs her, and she's like, wait a second. You're sniffing me? And, like, she's completely cool with it. So, yeah, any of you guys have, like, topics that you'd like to discuss?
Any topics?
Any topics?
Give us a topic.
Give us a topic.
Feeling a little verklempt. Talk amongst yourselves.
Talk amongst yourselves. I felt like that when I was trying to set up the camera. I was like, talk amongst yourselves. Please don't look at my disaster.
Yeah. Who knows who we're doing an impression of? There's a question.
There you go.
I feel like most people who watch us are probably old enough to know that reference.
I think so. I feel like we have an audience that's our age, mostly, or close to.
Do you guys have repeat authors? What do you mean by repeat authors?
Do you mean authors that we read a lot of, or like or do you mean authors that will read their works again?
Like reread the same books?
Read.
Yeah. Oh, we asked too many questions, so now I'm not sure.
The answer is yes to both for me. I tend to, when I find an author that I like, I binge their work. And then also, Octavia Butler is one author whose works I do reread. So, that's my answer.
John is 48. Then you should know the Saturday Night Live reference.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Right?
Because that was even, I feel like that was slightly before our time. Was it? Mike
really
Myers?
Digs your hair. Yeah, it was slightly before our time. I mean, before we should have been allowed to watch SNL, probably.
Right. My parents didn't, like, monitor what I watched, though. But we also didn't have cable, so I only had 5 channels. So what was I really going to see, you know?
Yeah. My mom pretty much let me watch whatever I wanted to watch. The, like, one hard line she drew was I couldn't listen to 9 Inch Nails because she heard, oh shit, what is the name of that song?
Had, like, a whole, I don't
It's
know.
the one where it's like, I want to
Oh.
love you like an animal.
What is this song called? But I know the song you're talking
Yeah.
about, but I can't remember the title of
She
it.
heard one of their songs and she was like, you are not listening to this. And so that was like the one thing that was disallowed. Yeah.
My mom let me listen to anything, but the one time she had a problem, or she asked me about it and was like, should you be listening to this? Was when I was listening to the song Getting Jiggy With It.
Oh, no,
By
no, no,
Will
no,
Smith.
no. I gotta watch that one.
And of all of the things I listened to, my mom was like, what is this?
Susan.
Do you even know what this is
Ma'am.
about?
Closer.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, my mom heard Closer and she was like, no, not Inch Nails for you.
Mary specified different books from the same author. Yeah, I definitely do that as well, but I don't tend to binge one author's works like Megan does.
I'm a binger.
And especially if it's like something I really love, I almost read it slower. Like I space out their works more because I don't want to read all of it at once. Also, I think I'm like slightly have that like fear that nothing else by them is going to be as good as that one.
So then you're like, I don't want to fuck it up.
Right.
Yeah, I did go kind of slow with Octavia because there's a limited body of work. She's gone. She's not going to give us any more. So, although I think there was a third book in the Parable duology that was never published. And so I'm hoping that one day we will be blessed by the posthumous release of that book. But yeah, so she was one where I did read it a little more slowly. But some of the authors that I really love are still around. And so I'm not necessarily...
in a hurry.
As like, I'm not, opposite.
The opposite.
Yeah, I'm not necessarily as like cautious about when I read them. So like, and authors like Margaret Atwood is one who I would like to read her entire body of works. She's pretty prolific, so I don't feel like I need to like modulate my pace there. Whereas like with Octavia Butler, like I said, the works were finite, so.
Right.
Yeah. She's gone.
Whatever. Do you guys have go-to authors that you always pick up their work when you see it?
Because I know
mine are like, I mean, I already have all of Octavia Butler's work. I already own it. Same. I haven't read all of it yet, but I'm getting close. I will buy anything by Toni Morrison, and in fact, I own most of her books already. I'm missing a few. Who else? Well, some of you might know my quest for Colin McKay books.
Yeah. That book, I've only read the one book that I borrowed from you, The Song of the Forest.
That's all I've read so far, too.
God, but that was a beautiful book. It was beautiful.
Yeah, I've managed to get a hold of, I think I have 5 of his books, which might be all I can get. I'm not sure. But he passed away, I think, in 2006, same as Octavia Butler, I believe. And his stuff, but he wasn't like super popular, so most of his stuff isn't in print anymore.
So
I think Song of the Forest is the only one that's like easy to find and cheap, or a normal price. The other stuff was like, I did manage to get the stuff I have. I didn't pay that much for. But at times, because like, does anybody notice that like book prices
fluctuate
a lot? If it's like a rare book or a book that's out of print, it'll like suddenly one day be like listed as like $500 whenever like the week before it was like $30.
$2, yeah.
And so that was happening to me with trying to buy his books. Is like I'd put in an order for it, the seller would like cancel the order, and then I don't know if it'd be the same seller or what, but then they'd like relist it for an exorbitant price. But I managed to get, I think I maybe have all of his printed works now. He does have like an autobiography that I don't think was ever like printed, but I believe you can find it on the internet, like in PDF form. But
it'd be interesting to read.
It'd probably be very sad. He had a very tragic life, but I never promised you a prose garden? What is that? I like the pun.
Yeah, that's nice. John said Stephen King and Dean Koontz are his go-to authors.
I used to read a shitload of Dean Koontz back in the day. Also, Mary said Dean Koontz. Yes.
John Mars.
Mars. I don't think I know who that is. How many books are there of Octavia Butler?
Well, there's
quite a few, but it's
I'm gonna approximate 8 to 10. 10? Probably 10.
At least. Because I mean, there's series, so like
3, so 7.
Lilith Brood is technically 3 books.
The Pattern series I think is 4. So that's 7. And then there's the Parable duology, which is 9. Then there's Kindred, Fledgling, Unexpected Tales, which is a 2-story short story collection.
Bloodchild
and Other Stories.
Survivor.
What was that, 12? Over
that was
13?
only, I don't know, I lost count of some. I think it was only like 10.
Okay, so it's somewhere in that range. There's not a lot. All of them are brilliant. But Bloodchild, was it John or Gary that asked what they should read next from Octavia Butler? Gary. So maybe Bloodchild, because that's a nice short story collection,
stories.
and it'll give you a good sampling of her work. So yeah, maybe Bloodchild.
Maybe. Leanna said graphic novel comic author is Scotty Young, who wrote I Hate Fairyland. I've always wanted to check out I Hate Fairyland. It seems like something that'd be like right up my alley. So.
I have never heard of it.
It's about, correct me if I'm wrong, Leanna, but I think it's about a little girl gets stuck in like a fairyland, kind of almost like a Wonderland type of situation.
Dang.
And it's all like, yay at first, but then she basically, does she like mentally age as an adult, but she stays in the body of a child? Oh. And so then she's just like fucking sick of it and over it.
Okay.
I don't know, Leanna, correct me.
That sounds pretty cool, actually.
The one coming out on Netflix is from John Mars.
Okay.
I'll have to check that out.
Did you hear that they're writing a screenplay? I think N.K. Jemisin is involved in writing a screenplay for, I believe it's the Patternist series by Octavia Butler.
Really? Mm-hmm. I had heard a long time ago that they were supposed to be making Lilith Brood into a series.
How would you do that?
But I don't know. I think it was Lilith Brood.
I mean,
Dawn,
I love it.
I think it was Dawn specifically.
I will watch it
from that series, but I heard that at least 2 years ago, and then I haven't really heard anything about it since.
I heard about the Patternist thing in that Throughline podcast episode. They mentioned it because they had N.K. Jemisin on that episode talking about Octavia Butler and what Octavia meant to her and all that. So
I think it'd be cool if they made the Broken Earth trilogy into
they'd have
series.
to, I feel like they'd have to make it into a show because I don't know if you could really pack all that in a movie. But yeah, a series would be cool.
I also, because like Amber and I were talking about this at one point, and I was like, I don't know how they do that first book though.
Yeah.
Which I don't want to say anything about it, and if you guys haven't read it, but I'm like, how would they adapt that to screen?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Oh, Gary's not a fan of short story collections. Okay, well, I would maybe try Kindred or one of the Lilith Brood books. Dawn is the first one, I think. Yeah. I'm going to try one of those.
And John asks, what's the best book to start with Octavia Butler? I would say...
how weird do you want to get?
Yeah, I would say it kind of depends on, like, what you read already. Like, if you want kind of a sampling of her work to see if it's for you, I'd go with Bloodchild and Other Stories because it's like, if you don't dig the brand of weird that's in there, you're probably not gonna...
That's a good vibe check.
Yeah, enjoy her other stuff, with the exception of Kindred, which is like
Kindred is a little bit more mainstream, I feel like, because it does read more like a historical fiction novel. Mm-hmm. Although, like I said, I don't think Octavia wanted it to be viewed that way. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so, and if you want to ease in to her novels, I'd maybe start with Kindred, or Parable of the Sower.
I would recommend not starting with Fledgling.
Yeah, Fledgling gets...
uncomfortable.
Fledgling gets uncomfortable in a way that some people can't deal with. Yeah. Like, I feel like all of her books get uncomfortable.
They do.
But that one's like
the
icky, like real icky.
Yeah, like it makes you feel a little bit gross. But it's not inappropriate. It just, I mean, it's kind of inappropriate.
But it's, I don't know. I feel like everything she writes, though, even when it's really uncomfortable and creepy, it makes you think about things because, like, in that book, I'm again trying to think like how to say it without like
it flips the power dynamics in a relationship on their head, because what it looks like, it is not. Right. Like who you would think would have the power in that relationship just by looking at it on a surface level doesn't.
Right.
And so there are some questions about the consensuality of the relationship, but not in the way that you might think.
Right.
And so it kind of flips that, and it talks about it. I think it highlights more the power dynamic.
Yeah. So it's I mean, everything she writes, I think, just kind of makes you
Go,
Also, that book, I believe, was supposed to be, that's the last thing that she had published, and I think it was supposed to be part of a series, and obviously she passed away before she could write the rest of it. So I also wouldn't say it's like her best work, only because it kind of feels unfinished, because it kind of was.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I would absolutely agree with that assessment.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I don't know what I would say her best work is. Like I said, I'm a big fan of the parable duology. Those are probably my favorite of her works, but a really close second is the Lilith's Brood series. So.
Yeah, and I think I'm kind of the opposite, where I loved Lilith's Brood, and the parable duology would be a close second for me.
I would also like to take a moment while we're talking about Queen Octavia to plug the Octavia's Parables podcast. If you are into podcasts, you can find it on Spotify. I think it's on any podcast platform really, but Adrienne Marie Brown and Toshi Regan do the podcast, and they basically go chapter by chapter of each of the parable books, and they talk about like the themes, and then they have questions at the end that they ask each other and that you can ask yourself as you're, listening along. And they do a really fantastic job with the podcast. So if you're into Octavia Butler, or if you'd like to listen to that podcast while you read her, the Parables duology, they do a new episode every Monday, and it's absolutely worth a listen.
So that could be a cool place to start too, if you wanted to start with Parable of the Sower and like read it along
with them,
with listening to their podcast. That might be a cool introduction. But any other questions or comments? Gnats
there's a fucking gnat in here. Well, there's probably multiple gnats. I need to get some stuff to put on top of the soil of my houseplants because there are gnats in here. So
I didn't realize that houseplants attracted gnats.
They can if you have things like pebble trays, because there's constant moisture, or if the soil's moist, it'll attract gnats. And wow, that was really northern. Gnats. Certain plants attract them more than others also. So
I don't have very many plants because my cat is a plant eater.
She's
a plant devourer. And so if I can't keep them out of her reach, she will eat them. So I have to, first of all, be careful about what plants I get and put in my home, so she doesn't die. But also, it's like, even when I have a plant that's not going to kill her, she just eats the whole fucking thing.
She wrecks it.
She consumes it.
She's a monster. I adore your cat. Like, I love your cat.
Yeah.
She's my best frenemy, but she's a monster.
She can be a monster. She's either very cuddly and sweet or a monster.
I love your cat.
There's no in between.
She makes me very happy.
You should see her with my partner, Jeremiah. She fucking loves him. And she will get on his lap and just like rub her face all over him. And I'm like, the fuck?
It's weird. It's like my partner with his cat. Him and his cat are besties. Like, they love each other and they have entire conversations. This cat will like come up to him and stand on his leg and like reach his paw up to my partner so that my partner will pet him, and it's the cutest fucking thing I've ever seen.
Yeah.
It's adorable.
I'm picking at a scab right now that is from my cat, by the way.
She's rude.
She's a monster, and I also have scratches on this hand from her. This on my palm was from, she was sleeping peacefully on my lap, but she always wants to sleep like in the crook of my arm to where I have to hold, like actually
so you lose
hold
use
her.
of one hand.
And so she had like slid to where I was like literally fully holding her with my arm, and my arm was getting tired. And so I went to like shift and startled her like out of her sleep, and she like, did the thing cats do, and freaked out and scratched my hand and ran off. I was like, Fucking cats.
My boyfriend's
I love
cat
him.
is like low-key obsessed with my hair, and he eats my hair. So like if I leave my hairbrush out where he can get it, he'll eat my hair. Or if I'm sitting on the couch, he'll climb up behind me on the couch and eat my hair while it's on my head. He's obsessed.
We got a question. It disappeared. Popular books you didn't enjoy, or an unknown book you highly recommend. Oh, popular books we didn't enjoy.
Ready Player One.
We were actually
Fuck that book.
We were talking about that book earlier today
With our friend Nathan.
Who loved it, and we were like, "That book sucks." No, yeah, neither of us liked Ready Player One.
Hated it.
A large part of it for me was that it was a whole bunch of like 80s pop culture references that I did not give a fuck about.
I didn't care so much about the 80s pop culture references. I didn't like the like nerdy dude bro power fantasy element
Yeah, that
of it.
too, where it's like the main character is like the least interesting person in the book, and then
I don't give a fuck about you, dude. Like what? Yeah, it was just very basic white dude bro to me. I did not like it.
Yeah. And I would say other popular books, I really hated The Kite Runner.
I absolutely can see why you hated it. Yeah.
I thought it was just a bad book, and I read it way after it was
popular.
Super popular and hyped, and was expecting a lot more, and I was like, this is just not a good book. Like, it's not. There was like plot holes, and
there were plot holes. I liked it when I read it, but then afterwards, like when we were talking about it, I can absolutely see the things that you had pointed out about it. I was like, no, okay.
Yeah.
No, I can see
that. I wasn't a fan of that one. And one that Megan and I disagree on is that I hated The Shadow of the Wind, and Megan loved it.
Yep.
I just like, that's probably the one book that we're complete opposite opinions on.
Yep.
Is that I like really hated it and she really loved it.
But again, I can see why you didn't like it, because it is very misogynistic.
Thank you.
So I can absolutely, like, the things, like the criticisms that you had for it, I do think are really valid. I just liked it despite those things. But I do think, like, you had very valid points about why you didn't like it.
And I'm trying to think of other popular books. I really hated Zen and the Art of Motorcycle Maintenance. I don't know how popular that is.
I feel like it's probably popular among a certain sect of white dude. Based on what you said about it.
Yeah. And then, like,
I'm trying to think of other popular books. I don't have my phone to look at. Did I hate any other popular books?
Not that I can think of off the top of my head.
I don't read a lot of really popular books, I think is the thing. Like, I don't necessarily stay up from that.
And Gary said, love the videos when we read each other's favorite books. Yeah, those were fun.
Those were fun. We should
do some more. And then, well, there was a second part to that other question, wasn't there? Oh, an unknown book you highly recommend. Well, I was talking earlier about Colin McKay. I would highly recommend The Song of the Forest. I think it was beautifully written. Loved it.
I would say these aren't really unknown books, but I think they're underhyped. I would recommend Temple of My Familiar and, what was the name of that other one that I was talking about earlier? They're by Alice Walker. Like her most known work, I think, is The Color Purple, or at least the most popular of her works. But I loved The Temple of My Familiar the same amount.
Meridian? Is that what you want? There was another one. You didn't list that one. You said The Color Purple.
What was the other one? Possessing the Secret of Joy. Possessing the Secret of Joy. That was another one. So, like, those are some lesser known. They're not unknown, but they're lesser known by Alice Walker that I would highly recommend because they're really fucking good. Especially Temple of My Familiar. Like, that book fucked me up emotionally. And in a good way. I would definitely recommend it. Alice Walker was brilliant. Is brilliant?
Yeah, she's still alive.
Is she? I never know. Okay.
Pretty certain.
Okay.
I don't think she's that old, is she? Maybe. I don't know.
Toni Morrison is gone, and Alice Walker and Toni Morrison, I think, were
the same age. I'm gonna have to
similar
Google.
in age.
I'm gonna have to Google Alice Walker real quick.
Just some light Googling, as Sam would say.
Yes, just some light Googling. Gary asked, is there any authors we would never read?
Yes. Orson Scott Card.
Yep.
Never gonna read Orson Scott Card.
Alice Walker's 77.
So she's getting up there.
Yeah. Same.
And then who was the one, was it John Connolly that did Nocturnes?
Yeah.
I read one short story out of Nocturnes by John Connolly, and I will never read his books.
I've read one of his books, and it was not
Gross.
Not great.
So I'll never read him again.
Is there any others I would just not read? I would not read J.K. Rowling again.
I would also not read J.K. Rowling again.
And I mean, there's like plenty that I'm just not interested in.
Yeah, there's plenty that I just like don't care about. But there's like authors that on principle I won't read. And I've never read an Orson Scott Card book, and I never will.
I'm also still torn about reading H.P. Lovecraft, which like he's dead, so he's not profiting off of any of that anymore. So
and that's kind of my thing is like, if they're not gonna benefit from me reading it, then I might consider it. But it's gonna really depend on if I think that the value of me reading it outweighs the detriment of their bullshit. I've read some excerpts from H.P. Lovecraft stuff, but I don't know that I've read an entire work of his.
Yeah.
I don't really think I need to. Like, I get what he's about.
The only thing that makes me want to read some is that he's, like, other sci-fi and horror is so heavily influenced
by him.
But
again, I feel like I get his vibe. Like, it's
Cthulhu.
What's the name for it? Eldritch horror? Like... I get it. I know what that is. I don't feel like I need to read him to know that. And I don't think that other works would necessarily be more valuable or illuminated by having read H.P. Lovecraft.
Yeah. Do you all have any authors that you
will
not read on principle?
I'm interested to hear it.
Yeah, I'm trying to think if there's any others.
Me too.
I can't think of any like living authors off the top of my head for sure, because like there's plenty of like classic, classics that are pretty problematic, but
yeah, I think like any author that I know to be especially problematic, I'm not gonna read their shit. Like
J.K. Rowling.
Yeah.
Yup.
Yeah, like I used to be super into Harry Potter, and I just let that go because like I'm not gonna support that.
Oh, Chimamanda
Adichie. That was kind of a blow because like I feel like Chimamanda Adichie, what We Should All Be Feminists, was pretty good, and then she made some like really disparaging comments about the trans community, and about how trans women are not women, which is obviously false and like really fucking ridiculous. So I don't feel like I could read Chimamanda Adichie again. And I do own one of her other books, and I think I'm just gonna get rid of it because I don't know that I can in good conscience read that. Like I don't want to read stuff by folks who are transphobic.
Yeah, and that's someone that I have never read and now never will.
Yeah.
Although she was on my
on your radar.
On my radar before then, and then I was like,
well, I liked We Should All Be Feminist, but then like she had to fuck it up, but not being transphobic.
Not TERFs.
Yeah, like not. I don't want to read TERFs. I don't want to. I don't like that.
Yeah. And it's on like, I didn't realize that apparently, from what I understand anyway, this kind of feminism is like common in the UK for people to have the views that J.K. Rowling does.
Yeah, it's a
thing.
thing.
You'd think that the U.S. would be worse because it's the U.S.
Well, like, I don't think the U.S.
and I don't think we're better.
No, because I don't think the U.S. even includes trans women in its feminism. I think the U.S. is still very exclusionary. But yeah, in the U.K.
I don't know, but I don't hear Americans agreeing with her. I see a lot of people.
Right.
Like I've seen when all this, first was coming out a while back. There were multiple people in and around BookTube who I would not have expected to agreeing with her, and they were all either British or European.
Well, I remember that one dumb shit girl, British girl that did a video about it.
There was her, but I also saw a couple other people, and they were all Europeans.
But I feel like Americans are more black or white. So I feel like Americans either accept trans women as women or fuck trans people entirely.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like Americans are maybe more black and white on the issue, whereas Europeans are more like,
yeah,
feminism is cool, but like, fuck trans people. You know, like, I feel like that's, I don't know, it's gross. It's gross regardless.
right.
But yeah, I think I agree with you. That's more common in European countries, but I think the U.S. is more likely just to be more overtly shitty and abusive to trans folks.
Yeah, I guess I was just surprised that I didn't see more Americans
Jumping on that bandwagon. Yeah.
But
I don't know. I feel like we
sure
had
there
a
was
lot of
plenty.
other shit going on with the fucking dictator Cheeto in office that maybe we were focused on
We were
other
distracted,
things.
yeah. But yeah, and we don't need to get into all of it here, but that whole argument is just so ridiculous.
It's ignorant. Like, it's the
Like, I
dumbest
read
fucking
J.K.
thing.
Rowling's little essay, and I was like, this is all fucking stupid.
Yeah, I read it and I
It
was
doesn't
like,
make any sense.
is she serious? Like, is this satire or is this real? It was fucking ignorant.
L. Frank Baum, was he
Wow.
is he bad?
What's up with L.
I
Frank
didn't hear
Baum?
anything about him.
Let us know why you won't read him.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever read anything by him, but
I've read The Wizard of Oz. That's it.
I've not read The Wizard of Oz.
Have you seen, like, the sequel shit is, like, creepy. There's
I've read Wicked, and I think I've read one of the sequels to Wicked, but I haven't read.
I tried to read Wicked when I was in high school, and I thought it was so fucking boring.
It's not very good.
I didn't get very far in it.
From what I understand, the show, I've never seen the Broadway show, but from what I understand, it's far superior to the book. And I will say that judging it solely on the soundtrack, I agree.
Yeah.
Because I do love the soundtrack to Wicked.
I have to take a pee break. I shall return.
So I'm gonna sit here and be awkward.
Sorry.
It's okay. I'm used to being awkward. It's kind of my thing. But yeah, so help me out, friends. Give me some comments to respond to while Sue's gone so that I don't have to be awkward, because I'm very awkward. Also, my dogs are not here, so if you haven't heard the pitter-patter of tiny feet, it's because they're at my boyfriend's house. He is dog sitting, so I didn't have to, like, because I go and stay at his house usually on the weekends, and I just left them there so that they could hang out with him, and they didn't have to endure a car ride because Sasha does not love being in the car at all. So, John says, like me sitting with all your friends. Yeah. I forget sometimes how awkward I am until I'm around people, because I really don't hang out with that many people except for, like, I hang out with Sue and my partner. I hang out with Sue at least once a week, and then I see my partner more than that. And then when I have to hang out with other people, I realize that I am in fact quite awkward. And I always say that, like, I like the idea of having other friends, like, in theory, but, like, when it comes down to me having to, like, interact with them, that gets sketchy.
Talking about being reclusive.
Reclusive and awkward, yeah. I was saying that I don't often remember how awkward I am until I'm forced to hang out with other humans, aside from, like, you and Jeff, and then I'm like, oh fuck, I'm real awkward. An awkward human.
I haven't, like, working from home. I've worked from home for almost 10 years. And it really thins your friend group down.
Yeah, it does.
Because, like, I still have all the friends I had before, but most of them have moved to other
so you have
places.
distance friends, and you don't make new friends.
So now I don't have hardly any friends, like, close friends that I can hang out with on a regular basis.
Yeah.
And it's like, where do you make new friends?
As an adult.
As an adult, other than at your place of work, which, just me there.
Yeah. And I'm okay with that. Like, as long as I have, like, 2 or 3 really close people to me, I'm fine. Because a couple reasons. Number one, I hate small talk. And so when you're trying to make friends with people, you can't really just jump in, because I'm also highly intuitive. So you can't just jump in and be like, it seems like you're, really emotional about this topic. Can you tell me more about that? Like, you can't just jump in and, like, therapist them because people don't like that. So, like, I hate small talk. I don't know how to do that. I don't want to do that. Mm-hmm. And then also, most people who feel like they know me well don't.
Yeah.
And most people that I know really well don't know me that well. And right. I'm okay with that.
Oh, L. Frank Baum wrote articles calling for the genocide of indigenous people.
Oh, fuck.
Jesus. Uh-oh, why did that turn a weird color?
Oh, because it went to nighttime mode.
Oh, okay.
Because it's after 8 o'clock.
Oh.
It's 8:30. I set it to go to nighttime mode.
Yeah, and I like having a small group of friends too, but at this point, like, you're literally the only person that I see regularly.
Really?
Yeah, which, I mean, it's a pandemic now, so I shouldn't be seeing a lot of people anyway, but...
Right, it's a panini.
Even before that, like, literally just you.
Yeah, I don't want to have a lot of friends. Like, I don't need a wide group of like, I don't need a big social circle. I'm also, like, very uncomfortable with being, like, open and vulnerable with other people. So I like to limit the number of those folks.
Yeah.
But again, like I said, I feel like the people who feel like they know me well, 90% of them don't. And I'm okay with that.
Leanna asked, are there any words or phrases that you commonly see in books that now irk you because they now seem overused?
Oh, that's a really great question. And I feel like the answer is yes.
I have one, which I think is a common one. And I honestly probably wouldn't have even noticed it if BookTube hadn't started making fun of it.
Okay.
And I really only see this when I'm reading, like, fan fiction or sometimes in, like, romance novels and stuff. But it's they let out a breath they didn't know they were holding.
Oh.
And I always, like, I probably wouldn't have even noticed it before, except that it became, like, a thing to make fun of authors overusing that. And now I notice it every time. But it is kind of one of those things that it's like, you do that. Like, if you're like...
Right, it's like, a thing that people do. Yeah, you
so
brace yourself, yeah.
But I have seen authors sometimes find, you know, more unique ways of saying that. So
right.
You can get around it. But other than that, I don't know.
I feel like there are, but I have a hard time thinking of them. Because, like, I notice them when I'm reading a specific book. Because I think people find words or phrases that they really like, and they latch onto those, and so they'll use them multiple times in their writing. And I understand why people do that, but it gets annoying.
Yeah.
And I can't think of any specific examples, and it's not even really a specific singular phrase. It's just like, if authors like a word, they use it a lot.
Yeah,
and I'm like,
true.
can you fucking stop using this word, please? Jesus Christ, I read it 6 times in the last chapter.
Yeah.
It's not that fancy. Buy a thesaurus. So stuff like that bothers me. And then I'm trying to think.
I will say that sometimes the way authors describe people's appearances is annoying. And that's, again, especially kind of in, like, romance and stuff. And it's not, like, a specific phrase, I wouldn't say, but just, like, the way
and
people describe appearances sometimes is just like,
why are you doing that? And I feel like
and it's not always men doing it. Like,
no.
Like, female writers
women do it too. But I think it bothers me when what they're describing has nothing to do with the story. So I'm like, yeah, Steve, okay, her C cup really has something to do with the narrative of this, like, sci-fi thriller.
Yeah, or Amber.
Why do I need to know that?
Amber was sending us quotes from a short story she was reading that was written by a woman that were, like, described a man's biceps as being
jiggly
the size of baby heads and
jiggling to a rhythm all of their own.
What?
I was like, what are you talking about? Stop it. But yeah, so, like, some of those descriptors, like, if it's not necessary, like I said, I probably don't need to know the bust size of every woman in your tale.
Right.
It's really not relevant.
Sometimes authors really go in too hard on, like, describing people's eyes.
Yeah, I don't care.
It's like, come on, fucking eyeballs.
Get to the action. I don't give a shit. Also, I have never once looked in the mirror and narrated my appearance. And I feel like that's a common description of women in stories where it's like, oh, she looked in the mirror and she saw her voluptuous breasts and thought to herself, bleh, and I've never done that.
Yeah. Or comparing any body parts, especially, like, skin tone, to food.
Yeah,
Like
that's gross.
Mocha or caramel or
gross.
I don't know, milky
Ew.
white skin.
Nope, not a fan.
Yeah, I don't like that.
Yeah. The only thing I've ever done in the mirror having to do with my appearance is dance like a fucking moron. So.
Yeah. People are agreeing with me on the let out of breath they didn't know that you were holding. Oh, excuse me. John asked, what's your worst book ever written?
Who? The Silent Wife was pretty bad.
Yeah. I would say I read a zombie book called Empire. I don't remember the name of the author off the top of my head. Either. But that was pretty badly written. I don't know if it's the worst I've ever read.
Bad Marie. I've talked about Bad Marie a lot about, in reference to a terrible book. That one was pretty fucking bad. Yeah, like I said, The Silent Wife was fucking awful.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of just like not necessarily that the story was bad, but that the actual writing was
terrible. Well, I feel like that was the case with Bad Marie because the story was kind of silly. Like the nanny runs away with the husband realizes he doesn't want the nanny, leaves the nanny and the kid in Europe.
Right.
So like the story's dumb, but the writing was terrible because so this guy is French and the nanny falls for him and like he's making breakfast and the writing literally said he made what did he make? I don't remember what it was.
Crepes or
something like that, but it was like he made French because he's French. Like it literally said because he's French. I was like, ma'am, have you been to France? Do you know any French people?
Yeah.
Because the writing reads like you don't. And I don't want to say worst. This isn't a bad book because of the writing, but I did think it was like, I didn't enjoy it. It was, and this is maybe a controversial pick, but it was A Little Life by Hanya Yanagihara.
I see. Yeah, I also didn't like that book, but I thought
the writing was
prose
good.
were beautiful.
The prose was fantastic. Your prose were fantastic, but
the story was just
was
literal torture.
It was torture porn, is what it was. Like this poor man.
I was trying to go to my books on Goodreads and
see what
sort them by lowest rating, so I could see what the worst ratings I have are. Your rating, okay. Those are ones I DNF'd, and some I didn't rate.
The Heart Does Not Grow Back is one that you hated.
I did hate The Heart Does Not Grow Back. I don't know that I would say the writing was particularly terrible, but the story was terrible.
Fair.
Alice in Zombieland was pretty bad. The writing was pretty bad. I thought Quarantine was really bad.
I liked the premise of Quarantine, but again, I feel like I understand why you hated it.
Yeah, Quarantine by John Smollins. And that was one that I felt like he did use the same words over and over again.
Yeah.
Malice by Danielle Steele, the one and only Danielle Steele novel I've ever read, was also really bad. And I would say it was a little bit torture porny as well. Yeah.
She got like that in her... I feel like she was always kind of like that, but I also feel like she got to that level where she was like too prolific. And so she was putting out books constantly, and I don't know if all of them were her or a ghostwriter, but like you can't be that prolific and be good, I don't think.
Yeah.
It's difficult to be, I think.
Yeah, I think you have to start being kind of formulaic at some point, too.
Yeah, if you're going to put out that much shit, you have to be a little bit formulaic.
Here's maybe a somewhat controversial opinion.
So ready?
I don't care for Matt Haig. I've read at least 2 of his books.
Have I read something by Matt Haig? Did I read The Humans?
I've read The Humans.
You read The Humans. Did I read anything
you
by
did.
Matt Haig?
I don't remember, but The Humans I thought was like meh. And then I read The Radleys, which I thought was pretty bad.
Mm-hmm. What did we read? The Rosie Project, I think it was.
That's not by him.
No, it's not by him, but
Seth
something
Grant,
about that made me think of that.
I also did not like In the Woods by Tana French, which I feel like is a pretty popular book. Did not care for it.
But yeah, something about when you were talking about Matt Haig, it reminded me of The Rosie Project, which I did not like. Which we read for the other book club.
Yeah, I think that'd probably be the only ones I think that were just like really badly written.
Oh, you know what was badly written that I couldn't even finish was my bookie book by Russell Brand, who is a complete fucking knob. And if you don't know that, then all you need to do is read part of his book, because he's a complete fucking knob. And what pisses me off, so first of all, I gotta set my beer down. So first of all, he did Katy Perry dirty. And I don't even like Katy Perry that much, but he did her dirty, and that's fucked up. As a fellow woman, I'm offended on her behalf. Number 2, and most importantly, he shits upon medicated assisted treatment for recovery from opioid use disorder because he himself didn't use it. He got clean, and I'm using air quotes here because I hate using that terminology because it's really harmful to use clean and dirty when you're talking about substance use, because that's gross.
Right.
But he pretty much shits on medicated assisted treatment just because he didn't have to do that to get, free of opioids.
Right.
And I'm like, that's ignorant. And also, science disagrees with you. So if you want to, that's fine. You disagree with science all you want to, but it's actually a really valuable course of treatment. It's a medical treatment, and when used appropriately, it's highly effective. So get fucked, Russell Brand. He's talking shit about my people.
Yeah, I don't really know much about him. Like, I didn't know that he fucked Katy Perry over. I knew they were married.
Divorced her
briefly.
via text message.
Oh, that's rough. Yeah.
He did, yeah. So no, he's a complete fucking knob. So if you need proof of that, try to read my bookie book if you can.
I thought there was another actor who divorced his wife via text message.
Oh, probably.
Because it was some actor that I didn't even really know.
Men are largely trash.
Yeah. I can't remember who he is, though. So.
But yeah, that just pissed me off because I tried to read my bookie book because I was like, well, he's a recovering addict, and like I like to read stories of from people, and I read The Heroin Diaries by Nikki Sixx, which is because I had a client. This was when I was still actively counseling. I'm not doing that now. I'm not working directly with people now. But when I had a client who really liked the book, and so I read it so that we could discuss it in our sessions. And it was interesting. It was a wild ride, but it was interesting. And so I read my book. I tried to read my bookie book, but it really is like he's all over the place, and it's really hard to follow. It's like nonsensical, and like I said, I feel like he really shits on his fellow addicts or folks with opioid use disorder. By not recognizing a very valid form of treatment and a very valid road to recovery. And it's, like I said, it's very antithetical to the science and the research, and it makes me angry, and I'm done. I went on a tangent, and I apologize.
I don't know if I could take anything seriously that's called my bookie book anymore.
Yeah, no, it's ignorant. The entire thing is ignorant.
Yeah. A celebrity memoir that I really hated, that I feel like was very celebrated on BookTube, was The Art of Asking by Amanda Palmer, which I don't know that she's that well known of a celebrity, but I knew who she was because I remembered her back in the Dresden Doll days. And she was, are they still married? I think they're at least separated now. She was married to Neil Gaiman now, but
I don't know.
Yeah, I did not like that book. Like, she came off as very selfish and self-centered, and like she just took things from other people and didn't really, which,
reciprocate.
Of course it's her, from her perspective, so maybe she's not talking about the things that she did in return.
And maybe I think the point of the book was like, it's okay to ask for help, so maybe she wasn't talking about the reciprocity in the relationship.
Yeah, but it seemed like all these people helped me, and in return, I
was their friend.
I was their friend, basically.
They get the pleasure of my company.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then recently I heard some negative stuff about, because I guess she revealed that she and Neil Gaiman were separated to the public without consulting him first.
That's
and
real
he was
fucked up.
upset about it, but I don't know.
Which is fair. That's fucked up to do to somebody.
So I don't know, but at the beginning of that book, I was kind of indifferent to her because, like, I was never, like, a big fan of the Dresden Dolls, even though I actually have a tattoo inspired by...
Oh, the coin-operated
I have
boy.
A coin-operated boy tattooed on my leg, but that's literally the only song that I was, like, that I really liked by them.
When
and,
you
like,
had that
maybe
matching
one or two...
tattoo, it's a matching tattoo.
Yeah, and it's a tattoo I got with
yeah.
one of my friends, but other than that, I wasn't like a big fan of hers, but I knew who she was, so I was like kind of indifferent to her, and by the end of the book, I disliked her.
Actively disliked her, yeah, that's fair.
So, there's that.
I get really like weird and protective when it comes to opioid use disorder, just because like those are my people, and I feel like they get shit on a lot, so any book I read that I feel does them dirty, I'm gonna get a little bit up in arms about it.
Leanna said that they got the same vibe from a podcast interview with Amanda Palmer. Yeah.
That's fair.
And then Mary said she just liked Saint X book to read at book club and was excited to try something like that for the first time. And I got the audio and had to give up. Every main event took forever to happen. I don't think I've heard of Saint X.
That sounds familiar to me, but I'm not sure.
Is it a celebrity memoir or is it fiction? Yeah, but other than that, most of the time, there's a few celebrity memoirs I've read that I really liked. Like, I really loved Felicia Day's memoir.
I haven't read that yet, and I'd like to.
You're Never Weird on the Internet, almost.
But I love Trevor Noah's.
Yeah, his was really good,
Born
too.
a Crime. His was fantastic.
Yeah, but, like, most of the time, I feel like celebrity memoirs are just kind of, like,
they're
mediocre.
Well, I kind of feel like it goes along with the, like, don't meet your heroes thing. Because they're just going to let you down.
Well, and sometimes I feel like, too, that it's, like, these people writing memoirs who are still in their, like, 20s or 30s, and they don't really have anything
what do you have to say? Like, if I were to write a memoir right now, like, I feel like you do have some experiences that would be valuable to talk about, but I feel like it's very unfinished at this point. Like, I feel like I have so much more to, like, learn, and I have so much more to do, and I feel like it would be a waste of everyone's time for me to do that at this point. I'm 33.
Yeah. And I feel like someone like, Trevor Noah has, like, a story to tell.
Right. He has very valuable experiences.
He was literally born a crime.
Right.
And then, like, Felicia Day, I thought just for me, her, she just, like, fascinated me with, she just seems like the kind of person who's just like, I want to do this, so I'm going to go do it. And that's really admirable to me of her just being like, she has like, I think she went to college and got a degree in math, and then she was like, I'm moving to LA to be an actor. Like, what?
And she seems like a pretty, like, she's, from what I've seen of her, granted, obviously I don't know her, but she seems, from what I've seen of her, like a genuinely pretty cool person.
Yeah.
And but same for Trevor Noah.
Yeah, but then, like, for instance, Amy Poehler's memoir, I love Amy Poehler. I think she's really funny and great.
Agreed.
But, like, I didn't feel like her memoir was that interesting, because she just, like, she came from, like, a fairly privileged middle-class upbringing.
Right.
And, like, there wasn't really...
I did like Bossy Pants by Tina Fey, though.
I haven't read that one.
That one made me laugh out loud. Like, it's very funny. Like, that one's a really good memoir, I thought. Just, if not, if for nothing but the funny factor.
Right.
There's more than that in it, but, like, if you read it.
I did recently read Rachel Bloom's memoir, and I actually really enjoyed it. But, again, like, I feel like she had things to say.
A meaningful experience to share.
Yeah.
I could never write a memoir because it would cause large disruption to my family.
Yeah.
Also, my brother told me if I ever wrote a book, I needed to pay him royalties.
Yeah.
And I was like, no, if I write a book, I'm going to write fiction. And he was like, well, that's okay. You can still put me in the book. And I was like, no. If I'm going to write about us, I'm going to write nonfiction so that anyone who meets us will understand why we're so fucked up. And he thought that was pretty funny.
Yeah. Any other questions? How long have we been on?
An hour and a half. It's been a minute.
Yeah. Unless anyone has any more questions or something, we might go ahead and wrap it up. I'm gonna try to get some more If You Gotta Read It challenges done this month. I'm hoping
You're gonna do
to
it.
read my like physical TBR.
Do it. You got this. I am gonna keep just reading what I want to read because it's been working really well for me so far. I've read 12 books thus far this year, so I'm gonna hope to keep up this momentum, and we'll see what happens.
Yeah. Thanks, Kate.
Thanks, Kate. That's nice.
And thanks everyone who tuned in and chatted with us.
Yes, thank you guys for coming to hang out with us. We really appreciate that.
Yes, and we will have our next live show will be
The first Friday in April, which is
the first Friday in April, which is the 2nd, April 2nd. Or are you going to be in Michigan?
Nope, next week. I'll be in Michigan the following week.
Okay.
So yes.
2nd is fine?
The 2nd is good. Okay. Yep. So April 2nd, we'll be here live show. Oh, and also, you heard it here first. There will be a readathon for If You Got It, Read It, the last week of March. It's going to be a 1 week long readathon. We will post an announcement video probably next week.
Yeah. We should have done it already, but we
forgot.
Yeah. But it's going to be kind of casual. We thought we'd do, I don't know if we discussed this with people yet. We discussed it between us, but we're planning to do like hopefully 4 separate readathons.
Once per quarter.
So we're doing like a short one to start, a week-long one, and then midway through we're gonna do
in June we'll do like a month-long one,
and then do another short one and then another long one, so that hopefully it'll help anyone who's maybe struggling like I am. And if you're like Gary and you're just fucking killing it, then you can still join in and just either reread some of the, like
do it twice.
Do some of the challenges twice
over.
Or try to do some of the bonus challenges.
Yeah, read a rainbow, read your way across the shelf, read all your numbered books.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's our plan. But yeah, thanks again everyone for joining in and chatting with us. We always have fun on our live shows.
These live shows are fun. Yeah, we like hanging out with you guys. So thank you for chatting with us.
And we'll see y'all in our next video and in our next live show.
Yep. So good night, everybody.
Good night.
Or good morning, I guess.
Wherever you are. John,
have
maybe
a great
good morning
time
in
of
Australia.
day.
I'm not sure. How do we stop it? I don't know. The X.
Is
probably.
it the X?